How you doing there? Well, today I'm going to show you how we're going to take some clippings from this blueberry bush here and get them to root, grow new bushes out of it. This is very important to me. This bush behind me, my father-in-law planted over 50 years ago, and my nephew recently bought a house, well, about a year ago or so. But my intentions are to root a couple bushes from this plant them, grow them, and give them to him as a gift. So let's get started. What you want to do is you want to wait until the berries are all off the bush. In the northeast here, it's best around end of August, beginning of September that you do this. You don't want to wait too long to where everything's woody and dying. You want some new growth on there, some green growth like this up top here. And you want to cut your cuttings between 8 and 10 inches. I got a real nice one right here. So I'm going to clip that off. It's probably about 10 inches. And what I'm going to do is strip off these bottom leaves. I simply take my hand and run it down. Now, unless you're going to be planting this right away, what you want to do is take this and stick it in some water. You don't want this to dry out in any way. Today, luckily, is not that hot of a day, so I'm not too worried, but I'm going to stick this in a little water over here. I'm going to take a couple more clippings off there. Then I'll take you in the backyard, and I'll show you how we're going to get these things to take root. So my main purpose today is to root up some blueberry bushes. But I figure while I'm at it, I might as well take a couple clippings from this. What you see in front of you is Nakin cherry. It's actually 4 Nakin cherry bushes. They just kind of grew together like a hedge. These are fantastic. They're hard to find. Once in a while you can find them in the seed catalogs, but they're beautiful. They grow really quick. Maybe about 2 feet a year you get out of them, and they do have cherries. Not the most fantastic cherries in the world, but if you want to make like a hedge out of them, we'll have some cherries for preserves, or just watch the birds eat them. They're a great thing. So I'm going to take a couple clippings. Okay, so we're back here in the backyard, and I've got everything we need to take these clippings and get them rooted. You'll see right in front of me this big thing of sand. It's just regular play sand you can buy in Home Depot, a big box store. Normal sand. Then I've got my clippings, of course. Now you'll see I've got my blueberry clippings here. I decided also to take a couple Nakin cherries. I figure if I'm doing it, might as well plant a couple more. Now the most important thing is how we're going to grow them. You'll see all kinds of things on how to get your cuttings to root. You could do it with misters and big elaborate setups, but give this a try. It will work. I simply took a plastic pot that I got with a plant I bought in it. I drilled a couple more holes in it, and I'm going to fill this with sand. Now the problem is, if I just simply fill this with sand, the sand's going to all pour out of there. So either what you want to do, lots of people will take a cloth or paper towels and put them down there, which is a decent way, but I personally don't like it. What I like to do is take my sand and get it nice and wet. And if you get your sand good and wet, when you throw it in there, it's not going to pour out of the holes. And what we want to do is keep this wet. We want to keep it well drained but wet, and we want to get some humidity going. So this is the way I like to do it. Now, you could, I'm only trying to get a couple cuttings going here, so I just have a small pot. You could do this in like a piece of Tupperware or something, you know, a big vessel. That way you could do a bunch of them. But really, I just want to get a couple going, and I think this is going to be perfect. No matter what the size, the basics are all the same. what you're going to do is take a pot or some kind of container that's well drained, it's got a lot of holes in there for ventilation, fill it up with your sand, make that sand nice and moist, and then get ready to put your cuttings in. Okay, yeah, so once your pot is filled with your sand, next step is getting your clippings ready to be rooted. Now, if you can get yourself some root hormone, it's fantastic. I definitely recommend you do this. If you can't, don't let that discourage you. They probably will take root anyhow, but this definitely helps. I bought this little thing, it's called Take Root by Schultz. It's like $7, and I've had it for a few years now. It works great. So what you want to do is take your cuttings out of the water. I like cutting them on like a 45, a nice clean cut on a 45. Leave them a good 6 to 8 inches. Make sure they're nice and moist. Dip them in your root hormone and set them into your sand. Get them down nice and deep in there. I'm probably only going to do about 6 plants in here. I'll probably do 4 blueberries because that's mainly what I'm after. And I'm going to do 1 or 2 of these Naked cherries just to see how they go. They're a little bit harder of a wood, a little bit harder to root. But I'll stick a couple in there too. Okay, so now I have my cuttings in this little pot. What I'm going to do here is take just a regular bamboo stake from the garden. I'm going to cut it into several pieces about, I don't know, about a foot or so high. And I'm going to stick them around the edges of this little pot. Now again, I'm only doing a few cuttings here. If you wanted to do more, you could do a bigger setup. The principles are all the same. What we want to do is keep a lot of humidity in here for these plants to grow. And this is just a way to do it. Okay? So I have these bamboo stakes stuck in here. I'm going to water this in a little bit. What you want to make sure is that there's no air bubbles around the roots of the plant. So you want that sand to get in there tight around there's not even roots at this point, it's just stems. But you want the sand to get in tight around the stems. So I'm going to water this a couple times and just let it drain. Once that's done, I'm going to take a regular kitchen bag, a white plastic kitchen bag, and I'm going to cover this up. I'll take it over to the garden hose. I'll mist the entire bag. Get a lot of moisture in there. Get the insides of the bag all wet. This is going to be all watered down good. And then I'm going to tie it closed, and I'm going to set it in the shade. I'll probably set it right under that Naked cherry bush in the back. And that's it. I'm going to let it sit probably every week or so, every 2 weeks. I'll open up this bag and make sure there's nothing crazy going on in there. Make sure it has enough water. Don't really have to. You could take this, if you're in the country, you could take this, sit this in the woods and see. But I'll check on it once in a while and we should be fine. Well, thanks for watching this video. I hope that you try this, and if you're gonna, this is the time to do it. So give it a shot. You'll see it works good.